Welcome back to the People's Basics, the home of the universal basics. It's time for us to do another episode of the People's Platform where we talk to members of the community who are the universal basic advocates, what their projects and passions are that we should be highlighting and amplifying. And so today we're going to be talking to Steven Janssens, who came out with a documentary called Crazy Money, and he is focusing on the basic income advocacy, and they created a whole community around this release of the project. So we want to find out more about what inspired him to create this documentary, what we can learn from what he did in the research and creating it, as well as what the community he is developing is all about in this basic income advocacy. So before we get into that, we want to remind you all that you can come on and talk about the issues that are most important to you by checking the description section below for our link to our link tree, which gives you the ability to come on to the show and talk about the issues you care about and so much more. That being said, let's bring on Steven to the program. So, Steven, welcome to the People's Basics. It's great to be able to have you on today.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, so Steven, I wanted to talk to you about the documentary you came out with. It's called Crazy Money. Can you talk us through what it was about and why you felt inspired to talk through the subject of basic income?
Yeah, first of all, I believe in the basic income because I think it's a way to honor the human rights. The human rights, they are very long. I don't want to say them all, of course, but everybody basically has the basic needs: food, shelter, and so on, and education, and so on. So if we want to honor those basic rights, we need to use basic income as an instrument, for sure, in a capitalized world. But I never saw it in action yet. So in all my traveling and in all my reading, I really wanted to make a film that really shows basic income in action. And that's what you will see in Crazy Money. During 2 years, the only thing why it's not a universal basic income, it's limited for 2 years. During 2 years, the village in Uganda received a basic income for 2 years. And we really followed how the people live. We also follow their lives, their stories. So it's not like a silver bullet.
So, Steven, I wanted to ask you one part about the documentary. The documentary is called Crazy Money. My reasoning is that I'm assuming, I've heard this myself, people say it's crazy to just give people money. I know you're talking about basic income. Is that why you called it Crazy Money? And if so, why do you think people think it's crazy to give people just money unconditionally?
It's true. That's the reason why the film is called Crazy Money, because up to today, a lot of people perceive it as a crazy idea to give money without conditions. But all the evidence proves that it's actually very simple. It's giving autonomy and responsibility. And even if you look to the world, when people are giving autonomy and responsibility, they can thrive. So it's kind of logic even, but for some reason, a lot of people think for other people. They think, they're gonna drink it, they're gonna buy drugs, they're gonna do this and that. So that's one of the main problems with basic income, that they are afraid. And on the other hand, there is another thing that they are afraid of. And I think that was proven in the thing in Switzerland when there was a referendum. It's because they think when Switzerland did that referendum that you, of course, know. It shocked me that so many people said no, because it's actually for everybody. But the reason why so many people said no is because there is a big fear of migration.
Yeah. I've certainly heard that concern before when we've had the debate of who should be eligible for basic income. We definitely have some people debating on whether it should be citizens, whether or not we have to then tighten any immigration restriction, even if it is just for citizens. There's whole debates around whether that causes immigration in. I know one famous example of this kind of playing out was Alaska here in the United States when they were originally trying to create the permanent fund that we know now as the kind of dividend that they give all their citizens. Originally, they were trying to make it scale based on the amount of time you lived in Alaska. but that eventually got struck down in the actual courts. So I totally hear you that those are some of the concerns. Could you talk through some of the data of why those concerns are either misguided or are not as serious enough to overcome the benefits from it? Let's take, for example, you mentioned the drug addiction and alcohol. Could you talk through, is that a result that they found when they were doing some of the basic income studies in the documentary you were looking at? Was there any correlation of increased or decreased usage?
For example, in our case, in our village, we monitored it. There is no increase or decrease. It's like a status quo. So the people that drink, they don't stop. But it's not that everybody starts drinking. From international research, I understood that there is even a decrease in some cases of 4%. So
yeah, I'm assuming that basically means there's either no impact or low impact. So
generally we can say that it's not spent on that. And what we see, it's the major expenditure is found in investments, education, healthcare, and food. So we cannot say that are bad expenditures. The good thing about this is it's really empowers people from below. They really can find their autonomy and they can decide for their own lives, because some people may need money for sending their children to school, other people may need money to go to hospital for a surgery, for example. So it gives you the freedom of choice, and that's what I think is the main importance. And I think also, and that's another theory, it's a scarcity theory. When you live in poverty, when you have not enough money, let's say, then you enter in a kind of a tunnel vision, and you cannot really think clearly anymore because all your focus is on that lack of money. That's why you make even the wrong decisions. So people can thrive if they have that stable basis, the basic needs, it's even in the word basic income, the basics. And it's even, for me, it's a very simple thing. If there are human beings in this world who are able to buy 5 helicopters in one day, then it's even a shame that there's at the same time people in this world who cannot even eat.
I share that moral principle of people having the basics, and that this heightened inequality does seem immoral. One thing I wanted to ask you is, in this, program that you all set up, did you have any funding methods in place? Because one of the things that I always note with these pilot programs, which I find interesting, is they always give people money, but when we think about the imposing of a national program, usually there's always some level of cost offset, taxes, cuts of other programs. And I'm wondering if there's any form of study that you've seen or were studying where it's people are maybe not as concerned about the crazy side of, they'll use it on drugs or not, but this is obviously going to be taking from one person and giving to another. Maybe it's not taking from the very rich person, it's taking from the upper middle class person. Have you heard any of those concerns, and how do you generally try to address those people who say it's, in their mind, a form of theft? Obviously, we disagree with that, but that's part of how they define it as crazy, is this idea of giving money for doing nothing. They didn't work for it. How did you try to address that in the documentary Crazy Money?
In the documentary, we don't talk about the funding process because it's really showing basic income in action. It's really showing the people of the village in Uganda really show through their own stories. That's what makes it unique. It's really their story. And it also shows that the basic income works. Not the way that people think as a silver bullet, because there are also challenges in life, and they're of course still living in poverty. So there are challenges, but you see that, and that's the beauty of it, that they thrive because they finally get an opportunity to have that autonomy, to have that freedom of choice, and it's small amounts. And to come back to the funding question, we funded it. I started with Martin. It's my companion, actually. We do the whole thing together, but he has a background in development cooperation, let's say. And we both wanted to create this movie as a pilot project plus the film. and also to continue scaling up to more villages, because we really believe in this. It's very efficient. I don't know if you still hear me.
Yeah, no, I can still hear you. So it's very efficient.
The thing is, how we were funded is in the beginning by friends and fools, as I call them, and of course we could convince 4 entrepreneurs that believe in the basic income to give us a chance with this pilot project.
Well, I certainly appreciate people willing to put philanthropy forward to help people in need and test out this concept. So how did you plan to keep this alive? I know you said you wanted to bring this to more villages. Obviously, the documentary is a form of outreach and marketing of the idea to get more support for these pilots. How are you continuing to grow this? Like, how are you targeting villages who might be good groups to consider doing these samples for? Like, how did you choose the village in this documentary that you did?
There are many different questions. I will answer one by one. The documentary is, first of all, independent from the project, in my vision, because it says more than just a project. It's the project, the basic income is part of it, but it also shows inequality. It shows life. It shows actually that people are everywhere the same. That was my goal as a artistic filmmaker. The project as such, that has another route. We also have that attention in the media. On the website of the AID project, you can find the preliminary results of the pilot project. And because we gained some more attention, some more donors came. And with that, in that perspective, they're doing now 3 villages in Uganda. And we already started another village in Congo. First village, like just in October. So yeah, from the moment we have some more funding that we can distribute, we try to launch a new village. What are the characteristics of the village? Of course, we are still a small organization, so we have very limited budgets. So the size of the village matters, and we use like objective poverty indicators, like the roofs of the people, permanent houses, that kind of things. And then we make a list of different villages, and we do like a small prospection mission that we don't do ourselves, but we have 2 people on the ground in Uganda. And then we decide mainly according to the size of the village what fits the budget for 2 years.
That's a very interesting process. So for people who are interested in being able to support your cause, how can they be able to contribute?
Then we would be happy, because we need more international donors. We didn't reach out much from Belgium yet when it comes to donors for the AID project. It's the link in the chat. It's www.aid.world, and then there you can find the donate button.
Okay, great. So, Steven, I want to thank you so much for doing this documentary so that more people could know about basic income, as well as this pilot program to help people in need and give us more data of the efficacy of these programs. So, as well, I want to thank you for coming on the program to tell us all about this. Is there any final things that you want to share with the universal people out there for them to go check out or know about basic income?
I think it's always nice to watch the film and give a shout to it and share your thoughts with it, and amplify actually the movement towards a basic income. That it's more in the picture, and that actually that people believe in other people. There will still be dramatic things maybe in people's lives, and of course there is COVID. But I think we have to have a positive view on mankind, to believe in each other, because then that's the real road to happiness. And I believe that happiness is very important to thrive in life. And poverty is not a character problem, but a money problem. And it's very difficult to get out of a poverty situation or a scarcity situation. So I think to honor the human rights, a basic income is a very good tool in that process.
Steven, I love the thought and the echoing theme you've had throughout this about the notion of autonomy and believing in each other. I think we do need to start thinking that when we put resources into people's hands, they use that more often than not for good reasons to take care of themselves and to improve the lives of themselves and others they care about. So I'm really glad we got to talk today and really echo those themes of what universal basic income means. It's not just poverty alleviation. It's us saying we believe in you to be able to solve the problems you have ahead of you. So thank you so much for coming on.
Giving people the freedom of choice. I thank you very much. I had one question for you.
Oh, go right ahead. Yeah.
Why did you start with this? Why did you start with this initiative?
Great question. So first, I came into this originally wanting to do the Hill of Roses for those who are longtime viewers. I wanted to get into the media space so that I can get more issue-focused advocacy. I saw so much news coverage which felt like they were just covering kind of the soap opera and drama, and they weren't really providing any solutions to issues that people really were facing every day. And furthermore, I felt like news was too negative very often. And so I wanted to try and come with a more issue and positive focused message to come to the masses. And I transitioned eventually from the Hill of Roses to the People's Basics to kind of really focus on what this movement was about. And it was about the basics. It's that every single person has these common basic needs that we share in common, and that we should be working to make sure that those basic needs are met. We may disagree on how that is supposed to be done, but we can come together and recognize that these are common needs, and that when we invest in people, we are investing in us all, and that they are going to be the best people to choose for themselves. That's really why I wanted to do this, as well as how do you get universal basics done? You have to fix the institutions that are keeping us from having these universal basics. So we also had to focus on things like democracy reform itself as well. So yeah, thank you for asking that question, because I loved when you emphasized at the beginning, the real reason we do this is every person has basic needs, and those basic needs should be met if we want to have a more thriving society. So yeah, that's why we did it at the end of the day.
Great. Love to hear that. Thank you. And also thank you for the interview, and yeah, good luck with everything you do.
Yes, thank you as well. And for everyone, again, Steven's documentary was called Crazy Money. If you want to go check that out, we will have more information for you all in the description section below. Steven, thank you again for being on.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, everyone. So again, that was Steven Janssens with Crazy Money. Please check that out. And as well, in that description section, you're going to find the links to join us here at the People's Basics. We need more supporters of the Universal Basics. We are here to amplify you and all others who are supporters of the cause of universal basic income, universal basic services, and universal basic rights. So if you want to be part of growing a movement around the Universal Basics, get involved. Make sure that you're subscribed. Make sure that you like these videos so that more people find out about the movement. Join us through our Linktree to come on the show, to give us questions for our mailbag episodes, and to join us in organizing on our Discord. This will do it for another episode of the People's Platform here on the People's Basics. We hope you all enjoyed supporting the Universal Basics. We'll see you all next week.